Hello everyone, this is Mike again from Milestone 20, and today I'm going to do another video of the Spelljammer UA, which was technically the Travelers of the Multiverse UA. We're going to go ahead and start in with Autognome for this one. If you've seen my Astral Elf video already, you'll kind of get the understanding of how this format works. We'll just jump right in here. And so as I explained with the Astral Elf, there's this whole section here of creating your character, and the new way to do so is based on the Monsters of the Multiverse release and the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything changes that have happened. So you have a basic set of ability increase scores. You can increase 3 scores by 1, or you can increase 2 scores, one of them by 2 and one of them by 1. No more than a net of +3 to your scores. The languages is you have common and one other that you choose. Your creature type will change based on what type of creature it is. Your lifespan is based again on the race, the description of the race, and the height and weight. There is a height and weight chapter or section in the player's handbook, and you can use that table to base the height and weight. But basically, everybody moves at a speed of 30. Yeah, I mean, the races are very generic now, and this UA is no different. So we're going to jump into the Autognome here. So if we take a look, you see this section here. Let me actually go down to the bottom, and we'll look at it as if it's a real race. So the Autognome, I basically have copied in this whole section here. Starts here basically, and wraps here. Main thing to call out is just a bit of description. I've copied that whole thing out. One thing to really point out is as I mentioned before, each race can call out how long they live, and Autognomes live for centuries, up to 500 years. The Autognome is kind of an interesting one into where it has a D8 table for its history, a D8 roll table. So that is actually I put this in the homebrew. I did copy this from the fairy race. The fairy race has a table structure in it to where you roll for some fairy traits. So I copied the Autognome. I basically, when I created the Autognome, I used the fairy as a template. So we have the whole table here. Your creator gave you autonomy and urged you to follow your dreams. Your creator died, leaving you to fend for yourself. A temporary malfunction caused you to harm your creator, and you fled rather than face reprisal. A glitch caused you to forget your original programming. You don't remember who made you or where you came from. You were stolen from your creator and long to return to them. You don't like how you were being treated by your creator, so you ran away. Your creator built you to complete a special mission, and you felt trapped in the role for which you were built and abandoned your creator, determined to find a greater purpose. Underneath this section here with the roll table, this is the generic creating your character that I covered. So that's in this homebrew. And now we're going to get down to the traits. So that's matching up with over here with the UA PDF. So you are a construct. You are small. Your walking speed is 30. Armored casing. You are encased in metal or some other durable material, and your base armor class is 13 plus your dex. You're built for success. You can add a d4 to one attack, ability check, or saving throw you make. You can do so after seeing the roll, but before the effects of the roll are resolved. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a race. Again, this, as you saw, I built one up for the Radiant Soul for the Astral Elf. This is going to be very similar. Mechanical nature. You have resistance to poison damage and immunity to disease, and you have advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed or poisoned. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. Sentry's Rest is you take a long rest. When you take a long rest, you spend at least 6 hours in inactive, motionless state instead of sleeping. In this state, you appear inert, but you aren't unconscious. Specialized design, you gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice. And then True Life is our last feature. If the mending spell is cast upon you, you can expend a hit die, roll it, and regain the number of hit points equal to the roll plus your con modifier, in a minimum of 1 point. In addition, your creator designed you to benefit from common spells that preserve life, but that normally don't affect constructs. And those are Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and Spare the Dying. Those typically would not be able to be used on a construct per the spell, but with True Life you are able to use that. So okay, so let's go ahead and get into this this Autognome. So again, we've got the basic information here. We've set that size small, speed 30, name is Autognome UA. There are no additional movements. Short description, even the regular races don't typically have anything in short description. So in the description here is this whole text that I brought up earlier. And the roll table, and also the character creation piece, the default generic character creation rules. So as you see here, Autognome traits, you have the following racial traits here. That's where we put this section here, and then we're going to go through and go into each racial trait one by one. So, creature type. Again, I brought this in from the fairy, so this had to be changed. Yeah, this was, you were a fae, now I changed it to you are a construct. Ability score and language, I believe, are ahead of this in the list order. So, and those are kind of defaulted to come through in the character creation, or the in the character builder and the race picker. There's a listing, and that's what the display order is all about. So, so language and ability score piece come first. After that, when you add these traits, you set the order. So this would be third in the order. So basically, we're just putting text in here. There's nothing fancy. There's no options, modifiers, etc. Size, again, very, very simple. We're just going to say you're small, and there's no changes in here whatsoever. There's nothing mechanically that changes you from when you're small, other than you take up slightly smaller space. I mean, tiny takes up a smaller space Small and medium kind of still take up a 5-foot space. You grow large, you take up a bigger space. So it's mechanically there's not a lot difference between small and medium. But anyway, so there's no changes here. Basically just a text entry. Speed. We set our movement speed in the earlier piece, and this is basically a text entry saying your walking speed is 30. We will get into some of the other races later on that have different moving speeds, like the Hadozee has climbing speed and that kind of thing. So, but nothing mechanically here changed. This is basically just another text entry saying that your walking speed is 30 feet. Okay, so ability score increase. We'll get into that here real quick. It's just basically the generic piece. This is the display order 1. Language again, this goes into the language picker piece. You know, you get to choose. Your language. So we go down to modifier here, and you get to choose a language, and then language common is set for you. So next we have armor casing, which is the first actual unique racial trait for the Autognome. You're encased in metal or some other durable material. While you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is, and what I've done is put in modifier Dex plus 13, so your armor class will actually show up on the sheet being calculated out. And then in the flyout menu, this is what will show up, and it'll say your armor class is 13 plus your dexterity. Technically, instead of this calculation here that we have, we could just type it out, or we could even say your armor class is this, which is 13 plus your dexterity modifier. I'll show you how this looks when we actually create a character with it. So modifier here, we do actually have to set a modifier. So we'll go and take a look at that modifier here. We've called it armor casing, and what we're doing is we're setting the unarmored armor class a fixed value of 3. Because your base armor class is always 10, and so we're adding 3 fixed value to that 10. And you'll see how that goes here. Built for success. This is the one where you add the D4 to your attack rolls or skill checks or whatnot. This one will have a modifier to it, so name is built for success. We have this piece here. You can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Now, if we wanted to, we could call out what your proficiency bonus is, and it would tell you. But this is one of those times where I say there's no real calculation there, and you could look to the top of your character sheet to see what your proficiency bonus is if you want. So I don't call that out, but we could do some of the code in here to actually say what your proficiency bonus is, or give you the number of times. So we've got this as display order 7. And keep in mind, if you're building these pieces from scratch, make sure that when you're building these, that you're setting these as feature type granted. If you don't set that, you're going to have some problems with your homebrew. So set that as granted each time before you save. Otherwise, it doesn't save right, and you'll have to go redo your work. Okay. Okay, one thing I realized I didn't show here was the built for success, so I'm going to jump into that. So again, we have this snippet and description here. We have an action for built for success and based on a reset for a long rest. And if we take a look at that here, again, we've just got built for success up here. There's just a snippet of the ability here. We've got the reset type as a long rest that we call out there. And we're saying here that we're using this based on on our proficiency bonus. So this basically should allow for checkboxes for the number of our proficiency bonus to use this ability. How we do that? Very simple. We could set it to a number of uses. We can set it to a stat modifier plus, whatever, plus or multiply. You can just set it to a straight modifier, or you can just check use proficiency bonus, and then you can add or multiply that. So it's very simple. All we had to do was check use proficiency bonus. So we're going to back all the way back here. So mechanical nature. Again, this is where we do our resistance to poison and immunity to disease and advantage on saving throws. So there's going to be a few modifiers here. I've coded the conditions in here for paralyzed and poisoned. You'll see I've done it in both the snippet and the description. It's display order 8, and we have 3 modifiers, one for immunity to disease, one for resistance to poison, and one for the advantage saving throw. So you see here, we'll go into each one of these. So advantage saving throw, we just have some text here that says against being paralyzed or poisoned. Now what happens is in your saving throws, it's just going to put up a little icon that shows you have advantage, and it's going to have this text next to it. But we'll show you how that looks in this modifier. It's very simple. Advantage type, we choose saving throw type, and then we simply put that text. Poison resistance. Modifier type is resistance, subtype is poison, and that's all we need to put. For the third modifier, which is immunity, we choose modifier type as immunity, modifier subtype is disease, and then that's it. So next one is Sentry's Rest. Again, this is when you take a long rest and spend at least 6 hours in inactive motionless state. Very similar to the trance, which is basically just a text entry on the character sheet. So we're just calling it Sentry's Rest, and there's the snippet, there's the description, and there's no modifiers or whatnot here. There's just the text. Specialized design. This is a one where you get two tool proficiencies of your choice. So we'll have some modifiers there. Very simple text entry. The modifiers, basically we have 2 choices to choose tool proficiency. So I'm just going to take a look at one of these because they're the same thing, but we did add 2 modifiers for each of these. So modifier type is proficiency, subtype is choose a tool. And our last one is True Life. And basically, again, this is just going to be another text entry. If the mending spell is cast on you, you can expend a hit die. So if we take a look at this, now what I've done is I put the coding in here for calling out the mending spell. And I've said you can regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your con modifier, which that's basically what that code is going to do. Is it's going to come out and call your con modifier, and it'll be a minimum of 1. In addition to your creator designed you to benefit for common spells that preserve life, and then I've called out each one of the spells here. So there's Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and Spare the Dying. And we've done that basically in both. And that is pretty much it for looking at the Autognome changes that we've done. There was no modifiers here. Again, this was all just a text entry. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it's like to build one of these characters. I'm going to leave this up, so if we want to take a look, we can. Our Autognome is here. So I've turned on Homebrew. Important piece to remember. We look at race. We're going to look at the Autognome. And again, we have our listing here of ability scores, languages, creature type. As a construct, you're small, walking speed is 30. Your armor casing feature, built for success. Mechanical in nature, Century's Rest, specialized design, and True Life. So we're going to choose that race. And as with our ability scores, you get +1 to 3 scores, or you get +2 to 1 score and +1 to another. So in this one, we're just going to do this here, and I'm going to do Charisma and Con. Language, I will... You know, to be honest with you, I don't know what the Modron spell, or what the Modrons speak, but you know, we'll just go with the heck. We'll go with Gnomish. That seems, I mean, you're an Autognome, right? So okay, so specialized design here. Remember, we need to pick our tools. So I'm going to say out of our tools here, let's say, you know, let's go with a glass blower and actually, let's go Tinkers and Thieves' Tools. Why not? Okay. And as you see, we have our descriptions in here. You know, Century's Rest, mechanical nature, built for success, armor casing, speed, size, creature type. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm gonna do what I did before. Choose just the fighter, and I'm not gonna fill anything out here. I don't want these to show different things. I want to show basically just the racial features, so I'm not gonna muddy the water here and pick anything. We'll do manual, and again, I'm going to built it like it was a commoner. So 10 across the board. And of course, you see there's the Autognome feature for ability score increase. If you wanted that, in the description you can choose the language in here. This isn't anything I've done. This is D&D Beyond. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the character. So, as we go down the board here, we see the basic stuff. We get to armor casing. Our armor class is 13. We didn't put a dex score in, so our base armor class is 13. And you can see right here, our base armor, and then we've got our +3 unarmored bonus from armored casing. If we had added, let's just, for the heck of it, let's give him a 14 armor class. That should give him a +2 on dex, and now his armor class is now 15. We've got armor, base armor class, dexterity bonus, and then unarmored bonus. So now he's got 15. So that's our armor casing. Built for success. That was our skill checks based on our proficiency bonus, which is a +2. So if we go take a look at our racial features, you see built for success has 2 checkboxes which reset on a long rest. And this is those actions to where we chose that it was based on the reset for actions was based on the proficiency bonus. All right, mechanical nature. If you remember what mechanical nature was, is you have resistant to poison damage, immunity to disease, and you have advantage on saving throws. So, if we go back here, you'll see resistance to poison, mechanical nature, immune to disease, mechanical nature. And if we go back to here, this is where your advantage against being paralyzed or poisoned. And again, that was the mechanical nature. All right, Sentry's Rest is very, very much just text-based. So we'll go back into racial traits here, and I'll pop this out in a regular screen here in a second so you can see what the regular character sheet looks like, but rather than this minimized view. But yeah, in our text space here, you saw the armor class of 15 up here, but this is where that calculation happens, to where we said your base armor class is in, and we tell you, and it's your dex modifier +13. Okay, so Sentry's Rest. Again, we knew this was just text-based, so nothing really mechanical in the sheet. Specialized Design was where we got to pick our 2 tools. And True Life, if the mending spell is cast on you, you can expend a hit die, roll it, and then gain a number of hit points equal to the roll +1. And again, that's your con modifier, 1 at a minimum. Plus, so it's your die roll plus your con minimum of 1. Yeah. So if we take a look at this, we called out those spells, but it looks like the character sheet doesn't handle the calling out the spells in the text here. So yeah, it was worth a shot. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and increase our screen size here. So now you can see what it looks like in a full screen. Features and traits. So you see our resistant to poison and our immunity. And if we highlight over which one, it tells you where it came from. Again, the languages, the tools, pointed out our advantage. So yeah, here is all of our racial traits. And if we were to, this is our con bonus of +1. If we were to increase our con, you see now we have an 18 con, so now that's gone. So the normal, the hit die roll +4. All right. That basically wraps it up for our Autognome. If you like what I'm doing here, or you have a comment, please feel free to leave. Like the video. If you want to keep track of videos as they come out, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell notification. Thank you very much.